Welcome to the Playbook. This is David Meltzer. I am with the incredible Dr. Don Brown, CEO and founder of LifeOmic. Welcome to the Playbook, Dr. Brown.
Thanks for having me.
You know, it's so amazing because doctors and lawyers are well-trained individuals. They're intelligent, academically trained, and it's a hard transition for hyper specialists to transition into the business world. And I thought we'd start there. As an entrepreneur, a lot of times we're well trained, but that doesn't prepare us, no matter what success we've had with that training, to the business aspect of utilizing the skills, the knowledge with that desire to expand and grow a business.
Yeah, for me, it was largely an accident. I had no business background. My dad and mom had 8th grade educations. They were from the hills of Kentucky, deep Appalachia. My dad was in the Army and then managed a gas station. So I went to college, sure that I was going to be a scientist, a biomedical researcher. After an undergraduate degree in physics, I got into an MD PhD program in biochemistry, and I never had any idea that I would be an entrepreneur. But I ended up switching from biochemistry to computer science. I got my graduate degree in the then new field of computer science. And while I was finishing up med school, I started a little company, software company with a buddy of mine from undergrad to write software for his car dealership. And, after med school, I thought, well, I'll try this a little while and it'll probably crater and, I'll go back and do what I was originally planning to do. But, sometimes life takes you in unexpected directions.
Yeah, which it has for me as well, coming out of law school, and actually my career taking me to Indianapolis as well with West Publishing in 1992, putting legal research on the internet. And yet you got involved in software and building a company. In fact, I think your company was the first to go public in Indiana, and was acquired by IBM even. For you, what was the pressure when you decided to start a software company? Because there's so much stability with the education you had and the success that you had. To start your own company was extremely risky, but also probably fairly unpopular with the people who love you most and are most afraid of your failures and most afraid for you. They want your success. What were those challenges like to transition from the other people's opinion to believing in yourself that you could build this multi-million-dollar software company?
Yeah, well, you're exactly right. It was kind of hard for my family to accept. I'll never forget my father-in-law was a farmer in northern Indiana, and I excitedly told him I thought I thought he would be all for it. Yeah, since as a farmer he was kind of an entrepreneur himself. And I told him I was starting a company as I was finishing up medical school, and he was just so incredibly negative. He said, you're too young, you don't know anything, you need to go off and work for IBM or some big company for 10 or 20 years, and then, maybe think about starting your own company. And for me, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And I thought, damn it, no, I'm going to do this. And yeah, maybe I probably will fail. I probably will, this will go down in flames, but my God, it's my life and I want to try it. And so I'm just kind of a stubborn person. So when somebody tells me not to do something, it's like incentive, to prove them wrong.
Yeah, you and Tom Brady, that's for sure.
He's in a different category.
Yeah, I when I ran Lee Steinberg, the sports agency, we were choosing between Manning and Ryan Leaf, and that was the argument I had why Ryan Leaf was going to be so much better than Peyton Manning, because Ryan Leaf had never had the chip on his shoulder, and Ryan Leaf from Washington State, I figured this kid grew up in Montana. He's like Dr. Brown. He's going to be so stubborn. He'll do anything to succeed. But another great success in your life, I was blessed to overcome losing $100 million over in 2008 and make it back. But I'm always just amazed by people who have a big exit, a couple $100 million exit, and then are able to catapult that into their next company, your interactive intelligence company, which also, right, had what, $1.4 billion in 2016, an exit with Genesis, I think. I had a lot to do in the telecommunications era. But what was that translation like? Because now you have something to lose. See, everybody will say, yeah, Doc, you're like Dave Meltzer. You had nothing to lose. I had a single mom and 6 kids. Like, who's going to really care if I fail? And I was in the same way when I went in the internet. I can always go back and be a real lawyer. I'm going to do this. But now you got something to lose. What were the challenges there when starting and succeeding with this next venture?
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. I mean, the advantage at that point was, I did have some money to be able to fund it. So with interactive intelligence, I think I put in somewhere $10 to $20 million. So, the money I made from the previous company, I risked it all. I didn't intend to, I thought, I'm going to kind of circumscribe this. I'll have a defined portion that I'll invest in, but I'm going to have the discipline to, draw the line and say, no, well, that, went out the window very quickly. And so, yeah, in a dizzying amount of time, I went from being financially secure to having everything on the line again. Which is a scary feeling, but I don't know. There's something about walking that tightrope that's, just exciting.
And to that excitement, what is your favorite part, as you've now started your latest venture, putting once again your own money, besides giving back to the community? I think you are one of the largest donors to multiple places, but especially Indiana University School of Medicine, being philanthropic. But what's your favorite part of this whole journey, getting you to the point where you're now with LifeOmic? And there has to be much more than the money.
Yeah, I think it's some sort of psychological problem. I think there's some degree of masochism involved, but I love those early periods, just the uncertainty, that you jump into an area and, oh my gosh, with LifeOmic, I've experienced it in spades. Because I had the exit from interactive. My portion, I don't remember, was pre-tax was 300 million bucks or some crazy number, and so I gave 30 million bucks to the IU School of Medicine to start an immunotherapy center. It's something I'd become really passionate about. A few years ago, not many years ago, I enrolled in a master's program in biotechnology at Johns Hopkins. I was about close to 60 years old, freaked my kids out. I told them I'm going back to school. I said, Dad, what the hell? Why? At your age, you ought to be sitting in a rocking chair someplace. But I just had a blast, competing against these East Coast hot shots, this grandpa from Indiana, going up against these, really best and brightest kids at Johns Hopkins. And I'm a competitive guy, so I enjoyed kicking their butts, in every class, showing them this, old dude can still handle it. So when I had the exit from interactive, my kids said, I've got 8 kids, and they said, Dad, surely you're going to hang it up now, right? You're just going to take it easy and do something, take up golf. I've never golfed in my life, so that's kind of the running joke. And I said, guys, I'm going to give 30 million bucks to the School of Medicine to do something, really as a demonstration to my kids that my life is not about money. That this is something I could take some of this money and do something good with. But maybe out of a lack of imagination, I decided I'm going to start another company. And I don't know what we're going to do. I'm probably going to, and I told my kids, I'm probably going to lose a ton of money on this, but this is my thing. I'm not going to buy a yacht. I'm not going to, I don't golf. I don't need another house. I've got the material things that I need. And, this is what's really fulfilling to me. So I decided just to kind of jump in and see what we could do.
And beyond that, you're hyper competitive, and it's an internal competition that you have. And within that, you've allowed that externally to show itself in the platform that you built, because gamification is a big part of what you do for the betterment of our health, which is, I think, terrific. How important it is that gamification, that competition, that internal drive when you have, these great technologies. We still have to have the emotional aspect for people to use it and be enticed or engaged with it. How important is that competition that you learned through your career to put into your platform?
Oh, I think it's critical, and during my studies at Johns Hopkins, I had stumbled over a paper by a guy named Walter Longo at USC. And he kind of sent me down the rabbit hole. I just became fascinated by the notion of intermittent fasting. Just the idea of going without calories for a few hours and the beneficial effects that it has on the body. So I started practicing it. I started, turned my kids onto it. Found that we were texting each other and like, Dad, I'm just breaking a 24-hour fast, and here's a picture of, the pizza or whatever, that I'm eating. And so I, at LifeOmic, what we initially did was build a cloud platform for cancer researchers at the School of Medicine. And they're using it for that today. So, big time genomics, deep machine learning, analytical capabilities to try to identify the specific mutations that are driving a particular cancer. But along the way, we decided to build this little mobile app that, for me was, selfish. I wanted this for myself, for, my kids. I turned some of my family in Appalachia onto intermittent fasting, and was stunned to see that, for folks down there where there are tremendous rates of obesity, type 2 diabetes, you tell them not to eat biscuits and sausage gravy and you're going to get shot, but, to tell them to put down the fork for a few hours. And instead of having your biscuits and gravy at 7 o'clock in the morning, have it at 9 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock and get, maybe a 16-hour fast. They found success. They started doing it. People down there started losing weight and, getting healthier. And so I told my team, I want to build a mobile app for intermittent fasting. And they looked at me like I had three heads. Like, what the heck does this have to do with, anything that we're doing now? And my flimsy excuse was, we'll do this, and maybe we'll get 5 or 10,000 people who use this little app. And since the app will use our cloud platform as the back end for account management and data storage, these people will be giving us some free load testing. And so my team said, that sounds, pretty iffy, but okay, you're the boss. If you want us to do it, we'll do the app. Well, we just now have passed 4 million downloads of that app. So we got plenty of load testing. But then the other thing we did was, kind of took us, it kind of broadened our mission, starting, with, cancer, which is the toughest health condition of all in so many ways. But it kind of took us more into general health and wellness. And so that's been a lot of fun. And in that area, you're exactly right. Engagement is the key. You can build wonderful technology, that could make a difference. But if you can't engage people, if it's not fun, if it's not attractive, if it doesn't involve some gamification, some competition, it's probably all for naught. And so it's been really fun to see the gamification, the social aspects, really propel our offering in terms of its popularity.
And utilizing that as well, you're launching next year a book about your past successes and leadership, but within the context of leadership and the humility that you have, as I could tell through your career, There's a valuable lesson in being a leader, and I see this in your career as I did my due diligence to learn about you. There's two types of people. There's ignorant people, and then there's ignorant people. And no matter how educated we are, and the difference is, it seems you were younger like me, that we maybe were ignorant and arrogant, that we actually knew, we actually thought we knew things, and we actually thought we were in control of all these things. And as I look through your career with the allowance of successes and the faith that you had from each step of success to each step of success, becoming more intelligent as a follower to become a greater leader and to become more profitable and passionate and purposeful in what you do, it's indicative of your entire journey. How did that transition from ignorant arrogance into ignorant humility, where you really have instituted what Xander's wrote, rule number 6, you don't take yourself so seriously, and you don't know. How did that transition occur through this, journey of yours?
Well, life does a great job of kind of slapping us down when we think we've got it all figured out, So I'm no different than anybody else in that regard. After I started that first company while I was finishing up medical school, and we ended up selling that to EDS and General Motors. General Motors had a team of 100 people trying to build a software solution for car dealers. And on the other side, it was me, one guy. I didn't have to meet with anybody. I didn't have to write specifications. I didn't have to ask permission. I could just go. And, so eventually EDS and General Motors ended up mothballing their effort because it wasn't getting any place. And they decided to go buy somebody, and they bought our little company. And of course, as 30-year-old person at that point in my life, the message I drew from it was, I'm a genius. I've got the Midas touch. God, there are all these business guys trying to do stuff, and here I am, the schmuck. I never had a business course in my life, and I've started a company, and I've made $1 million. And God, I'm just, I have it, I must just be amazingly good. And so, my wife asked me, so what are you going to do next? I said, well, obviously I'll start another company. Look at me, what could go wrong? And so I learned a number of things in that exercise. One, I learned about taxes. So the huge amount, what seemed like huge amount of money that I was getting, all of a sudden there was a hole in it. There's a bunch of it's gone. What the hell happened here? And it's like, oh yeah, Uncle Sam takes a big portion of that. And then I learned what a wife can do who wants to build a custom home all of a sudden, and learn what a money pit house can be. And then the third thing I learned was how quickly cash can go, when you start a new company. So I started a second company, the one that ultimately was successful and became the first software company in Indiana to go public, and was acquired by IBM. But the first year was horrible. We had no clear idea what we were going to do. We were just going to leverage my genius, my evident genius, so inevitably we were going to be successful. But, I was quickly disabused of that notion. So I think within a year, I went from feeling like I've got all the money I'll ever need the rest of my life, I'm the biggest genius on the planet, to being maxed out on credit cards and thinking I am the biggest moron who has ever walked this earth. What the hell was I thinking? The money is gone. I've started a company. We don't really have a clear direction, a clear product. And yeah, so anyways, life has this great habit of, when we're riding high, just smacking us and, making us realize, dude, you're not half as smart as you thought you were.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place for that reason. But yet the attitude and the perspective that you share allows us to learn those lessons and continue to expand, grow, and help other people by making a lot of money, helping a lot of people with that money, and most importantly, which is indicative of this interview, having a lot of fun. People have to check out the Life Accent app. It'll change your life. The book is coming out on leadership and past successes. Do we have a title for the book yet?
Yeah, and then just a general correction, has
Yeah.
nothing to do with leadership or business.
Oh, nice. Well, I will gladly tell you in my ignorant humility that my due diligence was incorrect. So what does the book have to do with?
Well, so the title of the book is Understanding Life. And it's kind of a reflection of me. It's an eclectic sort of thing that goes through kind of the history of the development of life on our planet, how life arose, and starting with obviously unicellular life, and then really it goes into something called hormesis, which is kind of a stress response pathway that's built into our genes, and it really explains a lot of previously unrelated sorts of phenomena, like why is exercise good for us? Why that makes no sense. Why is burning a bunch of calories, generating a bunch of free radicals, why is that good for us? Why are blueberries and brightly colored plants good for us? Why is something like intermittent fasting, starving for some period of time, why is that beneficial? Heat, cold, everywhere we look, we find that little stresses actually provoke a positive adaptive response in our bodies. And it's this phenomenon that's come to be called hormesis, or another kind of informal way of describing it is what doesn't kill us makes us stronger, right? It's just true. You see it every place. And so, anyways, that's what the book is about.
I love it. Pain, setbacks, failures, etc. Are promotion and protection, actually not punishment, as you stated. And I will tell you that book sounds a lot more interesting and unique than one about leadership and success. So I'm glad that I made that mistake. Thank you so much for joining us. What an incredible playbook to success. Dr. Don Brown, he's the CEO and founder of LifeOmic, has a new book coming out about ourselves, which is wonderful, and selves with a C, C-E-L-L, which is incredible. Thank you so much for joining me.